Hello, everyone. The Kentucky Patriot here. Once again, we're blessed and honored to have our friend and patriot and fellow YouTuber, Mr. New York Prepper. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Hey, I can't complain. Well, I could. I mean, I don't like winter and we've got snow on the ground. I like sunshine and fishing and, but anyway, you're doing great,
hmm
man. So glad to have you on. Appreciate you, just stopping by and helping us. I appreciate your
hmm
channel and all you do. And we're really looking
Thanks.
forward to the next video in the series. Uh, what I'd kind of like to talk about and pick your brain. We kind of covered EDC with firearms. We kind of covered home defense. We kind of covered even wilderness survival, bear attack or something with large game. Because I know
Mhm.
you've got some experience in self defense, so maybe I'll just kind of open the floor to you. But what I would like to discuss, and I know what somebody's going to say. Somebody's going to jump in there and say, "Well, I always carry a gun." Well, that's not always the case because you can't. There's times when you'll get your license made at the courthouse, or there's times when you're on an airplane. There's just times in life, if you go to a hospital, whatever, or you're in the hospital, when you can't carry a firearm. I'm all for concealed carry, so don't nobody watch this video and be like, "Oh, he's not for concealed carry anymore." That's not at all what we're saying. But what we are saying is, in the event or times or the situations when you can't carry a firearm, I was going to see what you did, your approach, and because I know you've got some background in self-defense, and kind of your
hmm
your take, your ideas, kind of what you do to protect yourself and your family and loved ones without being able, when you can't, for whatever reason, carry a firearm.
Yeah. So I think the first most important thing is your mindset. Your mindset is everything. You have to, just like with home defense with a firearm, you have certain plans. Everything's planned out. You kind of have to have um, a kind of a game plan. What are you going to do in different situations? How are you going to react? You have to kind of have those things figured out before something happens. Obviously learning skills is important. You don't have to be a black belt in karate, although that's obviously a good thing to have. Mastering martial arts is always helpful. But just learning some basic, skills can go a long way. Because 90% of people, they don't really know how to fight. People just use brute force, and they just and in my experiences, based on what I've seen, people just swing violently. And most people, most bad guys, even, they're not trained. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're just kind of acting in a savage way. So just having some basic skills can go a long way. And your mindset, having the willpower, convincing yourself that you're going to do whatever it takes to survive, that's very important. You have to convince yourself, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to survive. If I have to put my finger in the guy's eye, if I have to, break an arm, I have to do it. It's not something that's something I would really look forward to, but sometimes you have to do those types of things. So mindset, training, physical conditioning is very important. Having a decent level of physical conditioning, because any kind of confrontation is going to be very physical. Even the best conditioned fighters, you see like UFC guys, after 2 or 3 rounds, those guys are going crazy. They can't breathe. They're winded. And those are guys who run every single day and train for hours. And after a couple of rounds, they're spent. So you got to think about, when you have that adrenaline going through your body, you're just going crazy. Your body's just using so much oxygen because all the blood flowing to your muscles and your organs. And you'll be surprised how quickly your conditioning will go right out the window within about a minute or two. You're going to really start to lose your, at least for me, I mean, for me, you really start to lose your cardiovascular capacity. So anything you can do to increase that. But just being aware that there's a time limit. You're not going to be able to fight somebody for minutes and for 30 minutes. It's going to be quick, and you have to be decisive and take action, quick. You don't want to wait and wait till the last minute to put your plans into place, so.
Absolutely. That's great advice. I mean, that is fantastic. And I never really told you this, but I don't know if I even ever said this on my channel, but I've always told my wife I would never hurt anybody. But if it comes down to me getting to go home and see my wife and kids again, or some thug trying to hurt me, it's going to be him every time. And I love that mindset that you said. It's like, it's not being mean. It's just, I'm going to go home and see my wife and kids. I'm not going to let some thug rob me of that. I love that. And
Right.
Also physical fitness, which I haven't done yet, but I've thought of a video on that. You are absolutely right, because I do enjoy martial arts, but people that never have really done it don't realize if you go to the ground with somebody that's really even in a controlled environment like that, and you're giving it all you got, you are shocked at how, even if you run
How
and you
quick.
feel like and you feel like you're in physical condition, or if you're really
Yep.
sparring with somebody and you're really hitting or you're really kicking,
Yep.
it doesn't take long if you're really going at it. And I do think that is a very legitimate point, because including myself, if we're not careful, we'll come in from work and don't feel like training, don't feel like going to the gym, don't feel like doing any cardio. You think, I used to be able to do that. I can do this. And then you realize you think you can do something until you're called upon to do it. Then when you realize that you're out of shape and you can't, it could very well cost you. I think that is fantastic. Another question I was going to ask you too. Of course, I know. I mean, you've shown me some weightlifting videos. I know you're a big, strong guy, but do you just specifically use just your fist, or do you carry something else? I know, like sometimes you like a metal detector, you can't carry a knife or whatever the case may be. But there's other times
Right.
you take a cane, or your Kubotan, sometimes will let you take them through wood or whatever the case may be. Sometimes plastics will go through a metal detector, or do you have any improvised weapons that you make or use with or without a metal detector, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I used to carry a Kubotan. I don't know if they trigger metal detectors because they're aluminum. I used to carry a Kubotan. I never really had to go anywhere where I would have to go through metal detectors, so it kind of never occurred to me. But I always, if I can't carry a gun, if I'm going somewhere where I know I can't carry a gun, either because of the law, typically if it's I'm always going to carry a gun as much as I can. If I can't carry somewhere, it's because it's illegal to carry there, So in that situation, I try to carry some kind of a knife. I prefer a fixed blade knife. That's just me personally, just because in the heat of the moment, you may forget to flip it open. It's easy to flip a knife open, if you're just casually sitting, in your house watching TV, you play with your knife, you open it and close it. But, once your adrenaline is pumping, you're going to try to find the button to push, and it's going to be, I'd rather just have something I can pull out and deploy rapidly. So I have like a very small fixed blade knife that I carry on my belt, and it's very light. It weighs like 3 ounces, basically weighs nothing. And it has like a 2.5-inch blade. So it's pretty small, but because it's a 2.5-inch blade, it's legal pretty much everywhere. Even in New York City, a fixed blade knife that's less than, I think it's 3 inches or the palm of your hand, is legal to carry on your person. So even in the most liberal blue places, you can still carry a small fixed blade knife on your person in many places. So I carry that, and obviously, flashlight is always good to have a flashlight, so you can check different areas, and you could use a flashlight to blind somebody, especially if you have like a 1,000 lumen flashlight. You shine that in someone's face, it's going to disorient them. So that's pretty much it. For me personally, that's pretty much, I don't carry like pepper spray. I used to carry pepper spray, but I don't carry it anymore. I may get back into it, but I just figure for me, if my experience and my skill level, my hands should be enough for most situations. And if I'm in a situation where my hands are not good enough, then I have to go lethal. And at that point, I need a knife or a gun, because I'm I'm at a point where, physically I'm a larger guy and I have a lot of, self-defense skills. So if I can't protect myself with my bare hands or protect my family, then I have to go lethal. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I've said that in older videos. I guess it's kind of amazing we've just met because we think so much alike. I don't usually carry a fixed blade knife, but I use my knife more as a tool to do whatever. But I've said in older videos, if I'm carrying it for self-defense, I absolutely want a fixed blade knife. Same thing in my car, where I've got a blade under my seat or right here in my door. I want a fixed blade.
Yep.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I don't carry a fixed blade a lot is because I got a gun, and I usually do use
Right.
like I said, my folding knife for opening a box or what. I use it more for a tool than I do defense. And I agree with
Right.
pepper spray too. I really, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody or try to, I'm just being honest with the way I feel about it. Pepper spray, I think, gives people a false sense of security because anybody in law enforcement or military will tell you they spray you in the face with pepper spray and they make you complete an objective. So what that tells me is if all the good guys can fight through the objective, then so can a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I just,
Exactly.
I mean, if you have it on your keychain, that's up to you. But like I said, if we've got cops and military personnel completing objectives and their objective is to hurt, rape, murder, whatever the case may be, I don't think that pepper spray is going to be enough to, it may stun them, it may help some, but I'm like you, I'd rather have a fixed blade that I bury as deep as wrist deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have, but I wouldn't rely on it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly. Great
it's nice to have in your arsenal if you're in a situation where you want to kind of get somebody to leave you alone, or it's nice to have because you don't have to actually put your hands on someone. You can just spray them in the face, and that'll be enough to get them to go away, right?
That's true.
I would not trust my life, just like bear spray. I would not trust my life to bear spray, but.
Same. Well, let me ask you about this. Is there anything that you do to avoid a situation, whether it's threat, scam, whether it's keep your head on a swivel, any, not going the wrong places by yourself at the wrong time? I mean, but any kind of tips that you would advise or give or say, or just kind of, because I mean, I think you'll agree that if we can avoid a situation, that's always the best principle. So if we can, is there anything that you would say when you can't carry a weapon, or whether people's in college or high school or whatever, they can't carry a weapon, is there any kind of tactics or just in general, whatever they may be, airplane or whatever, that you would advise or kind of look out for, any red flags or any advice or tips you'd like to give us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Obviously keep a good awareness of your surroundings. That's common sense, but I guess a lot of people don't really do that anymore because people are so focused. Yeah. You got cell phones. Yeah. People are checking their email. I do it too. Sometimes I'm at the store and I check my YouTube, I go on my account and I see, who's commenting on my video, blah, blah, blah. I'm guilty of that. So, or let's say you're sitting on a train, like when I used to work in New York City, for a little while, and I would go on the, train to go home, and you'd be surprised. Everybody on the train would have their head, buried in their phone because you're on the train for an hour and a half.
Sure.
It's boring, right? So you're focusing on your phone, you're reading the news, you're checking your email. But I mean, you don't know, somebody could walk into the train with, a weapon or something, and they could basically have a gun to your head and you wouldn't know till the last minute, So my advice is that, try to keep a good awareness of your surroundings, even if you're on a train and you're sitting on the train for a while and you want to, check the news. That's understandable. But, every couple minutes, just scan around you, see, who's sitting behind you, who's sitting in front of you, same thing at the store, look around, see who's around you. You can tell a lot by somebody's body language too. You can see if somebody's going to be a problem by the way that they look, their body language is a huge giveaway. Their eyes, usually like if somebody's about to do something bad, their eyes, they have those hard eyes, they look like you can see in their eyes that there's something's going on, It's hard to describe, but anybody that's ever worked like, law enforcement, security would know you can see in somebody's eyes when they're about to do something. And so looking around, checking people's eyes, looking for the hard eyes, that's something that I do. And, keeping alert of where somebody's hands are. Like if you're talking to someone on the street, like let's say somebody approaches you and they ask you for directions, they're lost or something, keep distance from them. Don't let them get within, 2 or 3 feet of you where they can pull a blade out and hold it to your neck or something. Stay back like at least a couple of feet. So this way, if they do try to do something, it's not going to be easy for them. They're going to have to close a little bit of a distance first, so, have a personal bubble around you that you don't allow people to get into that bubble. Keeping aware of the hands is a big thing. Cops are trained for that. See what people's hands are doing, because if they're trying to conceal a blade or something, anytime there's going to be some kind of an attack, it's going to be with the hands first, usually. I mean, people can kick you, but if somebody's going to pull a gun on you, pull a knife, or punch you, it's with the hands, right?
Exactly.
So
Yep.
See what their hands are doing, body language, check their eyes, those are things I do. Keep safe distance from people. That's just like simple things, be aware of where you're going, do like a little bit of research on the area you're going, like especially if it's an area that you're not familiar with. If you're traveling and you're going to a different city and you don't know the city that well, maybe do a little research on the area, think about evacuation routes if something were to happen, a little bit of research, nothing crazy, not like you're planning a raid or something like that, like you're a Navy SEAL, but, just some basic research of the area, get familiar with, what's the crime rate like, stuff like that. So.
Well, that's great advice. A lot of good points. And like you said about a train, I'll say this story real quick, but we had to go to another state. It was close by, not too far away, but another town, which was high crime. But a guy worked for the train company, and he gave me and my wife and kids tickets, and we took a train ride. We went to a festival, and they brought it back. It was fantastic. The problem was I didn't know it. We weren't allowed to take firearms, and they checked you on the train. So I had to go and put my stuff up in my car. Well, there was no parking lot for the train station, so I had to park on a city street, pretty good piece away, which I didn't think much about it at the time. I just had to go disarm myself. But the problem was it was a long, several hour drive down, several hour drive back. So when we came back, we left early in the morning, it was way after dark and it was night. And then I'm having to walk with my wife and 2 kids at almost midnight down this dark road with no weapon. And it was very uncomfortable. So the point you made about the city, the crime, and if I would have known that, I would have canceled I would have never put my kids in that kind of danger. But I didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it wasn't the guy's fault to give us the tickets. I was so thankful for that. But there wasn't a parking lot for us to park in. And there's a lot of things that after the situation we'd put ourselves in, I didn't have a weapon. I had no way. And there I was with my wife and 2 young kids. They were real young at the time. And so, man, that are some fantastic points to be thinking about. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss or leave or tell folks to maybe help them, prevent them, something they could be training, looking for, just flood their mind with some tips and help that would help them and their family?
Yeah, I think having some basic medical skills is good, because you never know what could happen if, let's say, you get cut, somebody pulls a knife out on you and they cut you. You have to know how to stop bleeding. It may take 5, 10, 15 minutes, even if you're in a populated area, like a big city, it can still take, 20, 30 minutes for a cop to get to you, or an ambulance, even if you're in a city, because there's a lot of red lights they have to go through. There's other calls that they're on. So you're going to have to be able to deal with your own injuries until the ambulance arrives, which could be a little while. So just knowing how to control bleeding. You don't have to be like an EMT or anything, but how to put a tourniquet on, how to apply a pressure band, basic pressure bandage, a field expedient pressure bandage on a wound. I think that's important, because me personally, I've seen people get injured. Also I think that, people should not underestimate how savage people can be, you know. The human beings can really, I've seen some crazy stuff. And you should never underestimate what another human being is capable of, no matter how big or small they are. I've seen even the smallest people pose the biggest problem, you know. So never underestimate how savage human beings can be. I've seen some really cruel and nasty things, you know. So you don't want to be a victim, you know. Just keep that in the back of your mind, that human beings can be the most cruel, you know, things on earth. You know,
Sure.
we don't just harm other people to survive like animals do. I mean, people harm each other for all different kinds of reasons, you know.
Sure.
To you know, if you have somebody that's filled with hate and they don't like you because of your race or whatever, or what part of town you're from, or your accent, whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of weird things. There's crazy people out there, and you just don't know what's going through someone's head, you know. There's a lot of just wacky people out there, and you just really have to realize that there's some really crazy people that can do some really bad things, you know. So if you do have to use force, you have to be very decisive about it. You don't want to go in like half-hearted.
Right.
You know, you
Sure.
want to, it's just like anything else. You want to have that plan in the back of your mind, what you're going to do. That's where self-defense training comes in. Like if you train martial arts and you're practicing, you know, different moves that you can do on other people, like applying a choke or throwing a punch, and through repetition, it becomes very natural. And so that's where training helps a lot, you know, the repetition. But like if, let's say, you're in a situation where you have to throw a punch at someone or put a choke on someone, you have a very small window of opportunity to do that, you know, because once that window closes and the person that you're trying to deal with, they realize that you're trying to incapacitate them, then they're gonna go into defense mode. And once they're in defense mode, it's gonna be hard to put a choke on them or knock them out, you know. So there's usually, from my experience, it's just my experience, you know, working as a bouncer for so many years, there's like a small window of opportunity that you have before somebody realizes that you're trying to incapacitate them or get them under control. Once somebody realizes that you're trying to apply force to them, they're going to immediately go into defense mode. They're going to tense their body up. They're going to go into guard. You know, they're going to try to protect themselves, even if they have zero self-defense skills. So if you can basically you want to kind of think about it like a war. You know, the guy who launches the missiles first is usually the one who wins. You want to catch the guy by surprise. You know what I mean? You don't want to wait until he's got his guard up and he's ready to go. By then, it's going to be a lot harder. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
Sure.
like, if you know that somebody is going to probably do something, you know, don't wait until. Like if you see a guy who's kind of bothering you, following you, acting weird, you know, his hands are going in his pockets, he looks kind of sketchy, and you in your gut feel that this guy may start to, you know, he may pull a gun on you, or he may try to, you know, pull a knife on you, or whatever it is. Don't wait until the gun comes out, you know, be the guy who takes the first shot, you know. And I'm not saying you should, you know, go right to lethal force initially. You don't want to go right to lethal force, but, you know, if you could, let's say, put the guy in a choke or put him in some kind of a lock to lock up his arms, like a Nelson or something, and then, you know, have him under control, and then maybe have your wife call 911 and say, hey, this guy's been bothering us, and, you know, something like that. That's better than waiting until the gun is pointed at you. That by then it's too late, you know. So
Sure. Well, I appreciate all the advice and all the tips, and New York Prepper nice enough to give up his time to come on. Please do me a favor, huge favor, check him out. I'm going to leave his link in the description below. If you're not already a subscriber, do yourself a favor, He's got all kinds of content from current events to ballistics testing, just a great channel, prepping, you name it, he's got it. And just in case something would happen that, this platform goes wherever the case may be, you know how it is, they're not real friendly with our community. Me and myself and the Reloader and New York Prepper are both at the Reloaders Network. And I'll leave the link in the description below, the reloadersnetwork.com. You can check out our video. We upload over there as well. And I appreciate you so much. If you would, leave your comments in the description below. We're going to try to make some more videos. We got some more coming your way, hopefully in the near future. But again, just want to say a very big special thank you to New York Prepper for coming on and sharing his experience, giving us his time, and helping not only me, but you as a community as well to better prepare and to better protect ourselves. The better we are prepared and the more we know, the better chance we have of making it home safely back to our families. Anything else, my friend?
No, that's all. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
May God bless you. The Kentucky Patriot signing off.